When it comes to current political developments, recently, following the pronouncements of Lieutenant General Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi, the IFP issued a statement on July 6, 2025, calling for a judicial commission of inquiry led by a retired judge and demanding that Minister Senzo Mchunu be placed on special leave. Therefore, the President Ramaphosa's announcement on July 13, 2025 squarely aligns with our recommendations, demonstrating that our voice has an influence on the national discourse. We note also the subsequent developments, the suspensions that has been carried after the 13th of July, as well as the work of Parliament emanating to establishment of the ad hoc committee. We welcome these steps as positive progress towards accountability. The allegations made by General Mkhwanazi go to the heart of a matter of serious concern to the IFP, this being political violence. We are seated here with a long list of unresolved cases of murders of political office bearers. We remain with no answers and families are without closure. Political interference and disruption, as alleged, into the investigations of political killings require a full-scale investigation. The allegation by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi have entrenched a trust deficit between the SAPS and the country, which must be reversed through due process and through investigation. We further understand that the country is suffering from Commission of Inquiry fatigue, but the hard truth is that the SAPS, being a subject of allegation, is now the focus of investigations. A SAPS-led investigation is therefore not an option under the current circumstances. The IFP remains a vocal participant within the GNU, holding the government to its promise of transparency and swift justice. The NPA must do more and better and refocus itself to speedy prosecution, especially on the findings of the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into allegations of state capture. The work of the NPA so far does not inspire any confidence, and it is a bleeding wound. It is a bleeding ground for public mistrust. Restoring public trust in our security and legal systems remains our priority. When it comes to the question of the national dialogue, 8 years ago, on 5 May 2017, our founder, Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, emphasized the importance of national dialogue on issues like land reform, traditional leadership, poverty alleviation, and social cohesion. He pointed out almost prophetically that, I quote, South Africa has reached a crossroads, economically, politically, and socially. We cannot move blindly into the future, accepting the present trajectory as fixed. It is not. We are, after all, masters of our own destiny. Close quote. It is a matter of historic record that CODESA fell short in many respects to wholly transition South Africa into democracy, as political freedom has not, amongst others, translated into economic justice for South Africans. Since 1994, we have continuously advocated for a meaningful conversation through a national dialogue on these critical issues, because national unity and social stability depend on our collective ability to address these outstanding matters. The Inkatha Freedom Party firmly believes that South Africa's future depends on an open, inclusive, and honest dialogue amongst all its citizens. As Shenge reminded us, a national dialogue is not just about talking. It is about listening, understanding, and finding a common ground to address the nation's most pressing challenges. In times of economic, political, and social crossroads, dialogue offers a consensus-seeking path to nation building. It emphasizes the importance of engaging diverse voices across all segments of society, from government and traditional leaders to ordinary citizens, to forge solutions rooted in mutual understanding. The IFP, therefore, lends its support to the upcoming dialogue to be held on the 15th of August 2025, because we recognize that genuine nationhood can only be achieved when leaders listen to the cries of the people and work together. As Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi reflected, talking and listening are the foundations of a united South Africa. We remain committed to this principle, believing that through dialogue we can reclaim the South Africa of our dreams, strengthen our democracy, and build an equal and prosperous nation. When we look forward to 2026, which will culminate in the local government election, as we prepare for the upcoming local government elections, we remain committed to delivering effective service delivery and strengthening our party structures. Where we lead at local government, we are closely monitoring our municipal leadership performance. We proudly recognize that 5 out of the 7 municipalities that achieved clean audit for the 2023-2024 financial year in KwaZulu-Natal are led by the IFP. These include the city of Umhlathuze that have achieved 5 clean audit consecutively, followed by King Cetshwayo district with 3 clean audit consecutively, followed by Umlalazi municipality with 2 clean audit consecutively, and joined by Umsinga and Umvoti municipalities. We are putting our eyes on the municipalities that we govern as the IFP, because we want to demonstrate that clean leadership results into clean and accountable outcomes when it comes to the management of finances. These accomplishments reflect our commitments to responsible governance and sustainable development. In distressed municipalities where we govern, we have effected changes to turn things around to ensure the provision of service delivery, good governance, and leadership stability. As we continue with branch inauguration throughout the country, we are converting all branches into election committees to focus to the 2026 local government elections. When it comes to the GNU and the PGUs, let me reiterate the IFP's resolute commitment to the government of national unity and the provincial GPUs, which embody a vision of healing the wounds of the past while working tirelessly towards a brighter, inclusive future for all South Africans. These governments represents a collective effort to rebuild trust and to develop our communities. As we reflect on our governance after 1 year of participating in the Government of National Unity and the Gauteng Government of Provincial Unity and leading the KwaZulu-Natal Government of Provincial Unity, we believe our impact can be felt at every level, but in particular on crime reduction and economic development. In particular, we must make mention of our collective effort to save iThala Bank. I wish to applaud and urge continued support for the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal, Honorable A.T. Ntuli, and the MEC for Economic Development, Tourism and Environmental Affairs, Reverend Musa Zondi, in their critical fight against the proposed liquidation of iThala Bank. iThala is more than just a financial institution. It is the legacy of Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, but it is also a backbone of the KwaZulu-Natal's economy and a symbol of African enterprise and pride. We are committed to defending this vital institution and ensuring it remains a pillar of economic empowerment for our people. A call to action, urgency, and unity. South Africa needs more than just hope. We need a united effort to rebuild and transform our nation. This requires a sense of genuine urgency, decisive reforms, and active participation from all sectors of our society. The current moment demands that we go beyond mere talk. South Africa must act boldly, moving quickly and decisively to address the inequalities and challenges that face our people. In these times of economic and social crossroads, we must remember that South Africa's strength lies in its unity and resilience. We must unite in effort, reform swiftly, and implement solutions that foster social cohesion, economic growth, and justice. Our commitment to this nation extends beyond politics. The IFP is a voice of reason, a party rooted in principles of service, fairness, and respect. We are the people's servants, dedicated to upholding the dignity of all South Africans and to building a country where everyone can thrive. We are proud defenders of our values rooted in Ubuntu and respect for all people. As I conclude, the IFP reaffirms its unwavering loyalty to the people's mandate. The IFP remains steadfast in its mission to serve the people of South Africa, uphold integrity, and promote accountable governance. We will continue to be vigilant, speak out on pressing national issues, and work tirelessly for a united and prosperous South Africa. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen from the media, for allowing us to express and communicate to the people of South Africa. Thank you very much, Mashash.
Thank you very much, Bulawa. David, can we transition the mics? Because I think it will be easier for the leadership to respond to the questions seated there, to also avoid standing. So, migration of the mics. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Bulawa. Mr. President, can I now request that we take questions? Colleagues, please introduce yourselves and the media house which you come from, and then state your question. We'll take 3 rounds and then come back. David Varese. Okay.
Good afternoon, Nobuhle Modisa from Newsroom Africa. My first question has to do with Ithala Bank. Quite recently, the ANC had a press briefing where they seemingly claimed victory over the issue, saying it was them, who were at the forefront of the bank being saved. Number 2, when it comes to municipalities, I just want to find out the situation in Jozini, since you've recalled Mr. Mate, and the result of his mismanagement also went as far as people not getting paid just last month or 2 months ago, if I don't recall correctly. But yes, those are my 2 questions for now.
Thank you, Moshasha. My name is Simpiwe Makanya. I work for SABC News. I think 1 or 2 questions from my side. One, basically regarding the proposed national dialogue. Of course, the party has made it clear that it welcomes this initiative, but there are concerns regarding the amount of money that has been projected for this particular exercise. I just want to get a sense from the IFP as to, have you thought about this? And if so, what is your attitude towards it? And then the other question has to do with the decision by the Kokta MEC in KwaZulu-Natal, the intervention at Umkhanyakude district. Basically, the party ANC in KwaZulu-Natal is accusing MEC Reverend Buthelezi of abusing his powers and targeting ANC-run municipalities. And of course, they are saying there will be talks amongst the two parties which are concerned in this matter. What is going to be your approach and attitude as you go to those talks with the ANC? And are you not concerned that such utterances from your partners in the government of provincial unity could risk the stability of the GPU in KwaZulu-Natal? I think I'll pause here for now. Thanks.
No, ngiyabonga kakhulu Mashasha, kodwa ke uza kwethu wa SABC uMakhanya usengibuzela umbuzo wami. Kodwa bese ucheck mhlambe ngiqhubele egcina yakho na. Okay. So uphungula we independent media. No, bese ngifuna nje uku-add kulento ebebuzwa uMakhanya. Ukuthi nawo ngoba ukhona na primo khona. Ngikuchecka manje ukuthi sikwenzeka nyamanje uadministrator usefikile kwa lapha ngoba kancane evinjiwe. Nyamanje yini khona kwenzeka lapha kukulo wamasipala.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. No, I just wanted the party's stance on the appointment of Professor Kachalia. I'm Tlantlamabaso from Eyewitness News. Apologies. I just wanted the party's stance on the appointment of Professor Kachalia to the Portfolio Committee to become the acting Minister of Police. Was the party, as you form part of the GNU, were you briefed about this, or the president just jumped to take this particular decision? But also, what do you make out of the fact that there are two deputy ministers that were skipped in this regard? And lastly, Mashasha, you said the work of auditing your branches ahead of an elective conference were underway. How far are you with that process? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions raised. We ensured that the Premier of KwaZulu-Natal is part of this briefing and the MEC in Gauteng, so that where relevant questions need the response from the government point of view, they are on board. But I will take these questions and then they will, especially the Premier, will come for more additional information on these issues. Let me start with my sister from Newsroom Africa on the question of the ANC's claim that they saved ITAL. And it was an empty claim, a claim done out of desperation. Truth be told, ITAL would not have been where it is if it was not of the leadership of the ANC that was leading KwaZulu-Natal. They can't put ITAL on a danger zone and then come and want to say they saved ITAL. It is no. If it were not for the IFP that intervened, if it was not for the Premier that intervened and engaged even the president of the country, ITAL issue will not be where it is now. So now, you do not want to speak more for desperate people when they want to become relevant, but use desperate motives in order to mislead. The IFP was very clear that it will leave no stone unturned to ensure that ITAL is not eventually shut down completely. We do appreciate the change of heart from the people of the ANC who were part of causing ITAL to face a situation of nearly being closed down, of coming on board when the IFP was raising this matter, we even engaged the leadership of the ANC at a national level at the beginning of this year that we will not allow Intala Bank to be closed down. The Premier will then also come in as to what further is happening to ensure that Intala does not experience the bad conclusion that Intala goes back and become the backbone of the economic development of the province of KwaZulu-Natal for the people of South Africa, especially the African business people, and more especially women. A lot of women who run stokvels, they use Intala Bank. A lot of small business people who are entering in the business sphere, they use Intala Bank. A lot of young people who cannot get their bonds through other banking institutions, they were bailed out by Intala Bank. That is why the IFP stood firm and still stands firm. But I will allow the Premier at the end of my response to even take the process forward in as to how are we ensuring to the livelihood of Intala Bank. And whoever wants to join the IFP with a repentant heart is welcome, but not to claim an empty objective. Then on the question of Jozini municipality, as I indicated, in June, we called all our mayors, deputy mayors, speakers, caucus chairs, chief whips, because we are giving a close monitoring on the municipalities we govern. Where we feel things are not going right, we do not hesitate to make changes in order to turn things around. It was unfortunate, and we issued a statement as a party governing Jozini that the municipality experienced a challenge of employees not being paid. We have done an engagement with the new mayor and the reconfigured executive committee, and also through the support given by COGTA, because it is its responsibility to support our municipalities. We will ensure that our people in Jozini will never experience the same of not getting paid, and that all the concerns that were around the service delivery will receive maximum attention. This is an approach we are adopting with all our municipalities that we govern. In the month of August, we are going to have a 2-day session, which we agreed with our municipalities in June, where we are going to be engaging on looking at the budget, the 2025-2026 budget, that one, every municipality will not run short of money before the end of the financial year, and secondly, that all projects that were committed to be completed in the financial year 2025-2026 by June next year, they must be completed. There are things that we indicated to our municipalities that unfinished projects are an indictment to any municipality. So now every project that is being undertaken or that has been promised must be delivered in full within the financial year. There is a different case if it is a multi-year project, because they also explain to people that this is a multi-year project. It has phases. We will be monitoring those phases if it is a multi-year project. The issue of the national dialogue, CP, indeed, the IFP in another capacity as the Minister for COGTA, part of the team on behalf of the Cabinet, that is a preparatory team for the dialogue. In our meeting, we expressed our disquiet in terms of the figure that was mentioned. And as the IFP, we are opposed in the excessive cost in relation to the national dialogue. We believe there must be a comprehensive review of the cost in relation to dialogue, national dialogue. The national dialogue is a continuation of the CODESA. It's a continuation to bring conclusion to outstanding matters. As I indicated, the issue of land will be a prime issue, the IFP, the issue of the powers, function, the roles of the traditional leaders remained unresolved in the CODESA discussion. Even today, Amakosi, their rights, their roles, their functions are not clearly spelled out and allowed to be executed at the maximum. Amakosi, traditional leaders and Khoisan leaders play a critical role in our communities, and we want a clear definition of their contributions, roles, functions, and responsibilities. It must not be done at an exorbitant price. The issue of poverty needs an open discussion. Black people, especially the Africans, every day they are becoming more poorer, and the very few rich are becoming more richer. We need to talk about how do we address the issue of poverty amongst the majority. That discussion should not be done at an exorbitant cost. And lastly, issue of social cohesion. The relationship between the South African races needs an open discussion for a resolution, but not at a heavy cost. We are confident we are going to make our proposals as the IFP in terms of once the final figure, because I do know that at the government level a decision has been reached that there must be a radical review of the cost for the national dialogue, and once the final figures are being put on the table, we will place our suggestions, because we are working as a party in terms of how to make the social dialogue a success at a reasonable cost to achieve the desired outcomes. The issue of the Section 139, Etum Kanyawudi, it's a fallacy that the IFP is working through COGTA or through the executive authority, the cabinet of KwaZulu-Natal. There is no one Section 39 that is introduced by a COGTA MEC without a resolution of the cabinet. Umpemba will speak for himself. And for your information, Uthukela is governed by IFP. The same decision of putting Kanyawude put Uthukela under the administration. Umzinyati is led by IFP. The same decision to put Kanyawude under administration put Umzinyathi under IEP. So now, it's a propaganda and a false information. You know, a municipality, if it wants to run away from intervention, one, adopt a funded budget. If you have the unfunded budget, you can say it's politics. No. Adopt the funded budget and demonstrate that we do not need any intervention. But if for many years you are running an unfunded budget with a number of challenges, look at the audit outcome. Just take your exercise because you are journalists. Look at the audit outcomes of Umkhanyakude, Umzinyathi. They qualify to be under the intervention. Put politics aside. The day our councillors put politics aside and do what is right, they will automatically be taken out of intervention. And the issue of the administrator, Umpema will comment on that one also. But how far have we gone with the audit of our branches? We have done a considerable work. This morning from 9 o'clock up to 10 to 2, we had the NEC meeting. A standing item on our agenda is the inauguration of branches. We still have 692 branches due for inauguration. Every Monday when we meet, we receive a report. How far have we gone in the inauguration of branches? How far have we gone in the auditing of branches? The deputy chief auditor of the branches is Mr. Nwango, the deputy secretary general, and the chief auditor is the Honorable Siposetu Nwango, who has just left due to another commitment. These two gentlemen, they chair a committee that includes the provincial secretary in KwaZulu-Natal, provincial secretary in Gauteng, the national secretary, Mrs. Tulu next to me, and the national secretary of the youth brigade, Umfowethu Mabaso. They are a team that monitors and reports to every meeting on the NEC, the progress in terms of the inauguration of branches and the auditing of branches. Our drive for the branches is not only necessary for the conference, but is to ensure that we have a machinery to run the election campaign. Because a successful election campaign is run at a branch level. Because every voter votes at a BD level where the branches exist. We are quite satisfied that we are on the right track in preparing both for our conferences and also for the people of South Africa an efficient election of the local government system that will deliver to the needs of our people come the elections next for the local government sphere. I'm sure, remember, you can pick up on issues that you can contribute better in relation to impacting KwaZulu-Natal.
Thank you, Honourable President, our leaders, members of the media. Well, on the issue of Ithala, SOC, yet there is no victory, except the victory which was the court ruling in High Court in Pietermaritzburg, wherein Judge Ncube said the Prudential Authority and the Repayment Authority had no business to do with the operations of Ithala. Unfortunately, after that victory, they appealed the judgment. Number two, we are facing a liquidation case, which we are defending as the government of KwaZulu-Natal, and we are continuing with also the engagement with the presidency and the Ministry for Finance. That is the information so far that is available. So there is no change. We are still trying to ensure that we are successful in restoring Ithala SOC back into its proper or normal functioning. Well, on the issue of Umkhanyakude, the MEC did go there personally after sending the officials, and they were refused access to Umkhanyakude to relate a decision of the cabinet. As you remember, that in the cabinet we have ANC, MECs, we have DA, we have NFP, and the IFP. So unanimously, we agreed that there was a need to have Section 139 intervention in Umkhanyakude. And I'm aware that they have taken the matter to court. I've seen the papers opposing the decision of the cabinet. And the cabinet did not do that or did not resolve such targeting any municipality. As you will know that out of the decisions that were meant to be taken, there were 4 municipalities. One was Moyopofana, where we decided to withdraw the intervention because of the report that the courts have provided. But for the 3 that remained, out of 3, 2 are IFP-led municipalities, and 1 is Umkhanyakude, which is led by the ANC. So it's not political. It's not a political intervention, in fact. As even for 7106, because we resolved on that priority of developing a capable, ethical, and environmental state that we want to strengthen the municipalities. That is why then we have various supports and interventions, and there are even investigations, Section 106 investigations, where it was saying when we have received information about wrongdoings, we cannot sit back as government and live as if nothing has been brought into our attention. Hence, there are Section 106 investigations, which are also not political, which are merely investigating the reports that has reached a table of our provincial government. That is how far one can go in terms of the 2 questions.
Thank you very much.
Which means, remember, the one that asked, has the administrator been introduced at Umkhanyakude? As far as the decision of the cabinet of KwaZulu-Natal, the administrator at Umkhanyakude remains a decision of the cabinet. I'm sorry. The issue of the second acting minister as appointed by the president with effect from the 1st of April, of August. The IFP made a proposal through the press statement that the minister, Mkhunu, must be placed on leave, which the president announced. There could have been no way to leave vacancy. It was appropriate for the president to announce Minister Gwede to be an acting minister from that period up to end of July. As the IFP, we support that because we propose that Minister Mkhulu be on leave while the investigation is done. The appointment from the 1st of August, the IFP believes is a suitable appointment in terms of the knowledge, scope, skills, and understanding of Professor Kachali. Now, it is a logistical matter. The question that the president cannot appoint someone to act who is not a member of cabinet. We rather wait and see what the president will do at the end of July in order to get Professor inside the cabinet and make a proper decision for him to be appointed as an acting minister. One day in politics is too long. Many things can still change in terms of the acting appointment or permanent appointment. But the statement is simple as that. One day in politics is too long. We are on 21 July today. And by 31 July, we don't know what the situation would be in the country. And I think the president is well guided to operate within the law. On the question of were you engaged or not, yes, I was engaged by the president, but I also took an initiative to pen down the IFP's view on the matter, beside the statement. The IFP is responsible. We are responsible. When it is time to make substantive contribution to the leader of the country, we do so. I took a responsibility as a leader of the IFP and penned down our view to the president. And out of that view, there was an engagement, so we were engaged as the IFP because we believe in constructive contribution on issues. But long in advance, we had made our views known that get a commission, put the minister on leave so that there is transparency. There should be no one who is creating the unnecessary pressure to those who will be doing the investigation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can have a conversation after this on the constitutional construct around the cabinet and the executive and the role thereof of deputy ministers. It's a constitutional contract which may have led to the kind of decisions which the president made. And secondly, I get that there's a whole thing around ministers, but Mr. President, you will remember that at some point in this country, the minister without portfolio, Mr. J. Naidoo. So we have traversed a long journey of the country in the construct of the executive. It is not without precedent that ministers are placed on leave and suspended and so on. So but we can have a whole conversation around it. We have had an acting minister of health during COVID times as well. So we believe that the principal position is the focus of the substantive matters at play, which are the allegations that General Mkhwanazi has made. The other follow-ups,
Okwesibili ngizwile ukuthi iqembu likhuluma ngama-branches asazodwa, right? Inamba yawo izwile into something. Check out manga asashiwe manga bona ama-branches eswabheka aphelele conference. Mhlawumbe bese uJuly nje na conference standard ukuthi izokwenza ngabani conference. Ngoba bathatha lo nyaka process. So lapha episodus ngiyazi ukuthi intervention yokuba cream kodwa khona ukubona ile ekhona siyazi nanabuza ukuthi why lonke ungafaka i-station akaze nje khona mhlawumbe improvement khona yebo.
Thank you, Mr. Phumula, for that state of the questions addressed.
This morning in the NEC meeting, the matter of Wamashu Hostel was an item for discussion. We are aware of the issues, complaints, and we're also aware of a number of deaths taking place in the hostel, and we are aware ukuthi emviki elidlule noma babili kunabanye abantu abaphinde bashona lapha eHostel. Ngenxa yokuthi i-IFP yona ehola leya wadi la kukhona khona iHostel njengoba wakhansela kuwena. Sinesibopho sokuba sisondele ukuze siqonde kangcono ukuthi zidalwa yini lezi nkinga ezikhona. Konke okukhulunywayo eceleni sizokwazi ukulalela uma sesifinyelele khona. Ngoba kwenye inkathi yakhulunywa yethu uthola ukuthi ayisilo iqiniso. Iqiniso uzolithola ngoba ususondele khona. Sivumelene-ke ekuseni namhlanje ukuthi ithimba esizokwenza istatement ngendlela eqondileyo ngoba kukhona abanye esibafayile kuleli thimba ebebengekho emhlanganweni okufuneka siqinisekise ukuthi bazovuma ukuba ingxenye yokuyobhekana nesimo sakwamashu maduzane nje uma sesikonfirmile kuwonke amalunga azoba ithimba lethu lizohamba liyobheka nangqo nesimo esenzeka ehostela lakwamashu. Lundaba ngize ngasho kwi-NEC ukuthi ngelinye ilanga ngisemsakazweni angawubizi ngegama omunye wabalaleli washaya ucingo ecela ukuba singenelele ngenxa yokuthi yiwadi eliphethwe i-IFP. Sinesibopho kunoma iziphi iy'nkinga ey'thina abantu bakithi ukuthi sisondele ngokuletha isixazululo. Ngibalekela-ke ukushintsha ngomsakazo uma kusengazi ukuthi ngizoqhakambisa umsakazo othile kulesi sigaba. Ngiyafisa ukusho-ke namanje ukuthi umlaleli owayekhulunywa ngalolu daba sixoxile, leli viki lizothi kuphela sobe sesenzile isimemezelo esisho ukuthi ngobani abalethimba elizobhekana nesimo esifikele nabahlali balaphana ehostela okuyisimo esisilethela nathi ukukhathazeka okukhulu. Ukushona nje komuntu oyedwa kuyinto engafanele ukwenzeka, andikakhulumile mazi lezinto abaningi ngaphezu koyedwa ngosuku olulodwa akwemukelekile. Siyakhona ukuthi nabezomthetho bazoselekelela kakhulu ngokuba lolu daba kuze kufinyelele ekujuleni kwalo. ngiyakholwa mhlawumbe uPremier uzophawula ngoba enye yento eseqhulwini njengoba umnyango wezamaphoyisa ungaphansi kwehhovisi likaPremier ukulwisana nobugebengu nokubulawa kwabantu bakithi kanjengoba nje kuleli thimba leli elundabuzekwayo ukuthi lihlakaziwe kodwa mhlawumbe longaziyo ukuthi lihlakaziwe ngokusemthethweni ebelidila ngqo nokubulawa kosopolitiki nabantu abakwezombusazwe. Sikhona ukuthi lesi simo lesi izwe elikuso leli thimba ngoba ngokomthetho sezwe nosiqaqamabhande omkhulu uNational Commissioner esho ukuthi nakazange nesabelo ukuthi lihlakazwe uma bonke kubuyele emgqeni udaba lokubulawa kwabantu laphana kwamashu kumele lube seqhulwini. Yikho ngishilo ukuthi uPremier njengoba umnyango okuye futhi simbona nsuku zonke esekhaleni eyifikela la kunabantu bakithi abashonile khona nalo udaba lapha kuzobe seqhubeka. Mase kuza kudabeni lwama-conferences, i-IFP is preparing through the inauguration of branches and the auditing of branches for a credible conference. But we do want to express we are not making branches just only for conferences. We are making branches as an engine and the machinery for a robust election campaign for the next local government elections so that we get the local government that will be fit for purpose for the people of South Africa. It is an internal matter. How many members of the IFP? That is why it was easy to say we still have over 600 branches that are yet to be inaugurated. But as to how many branches are not yet, have already been inaugurated, there are internal matters which you do not divulge anyhow, which they belong to the party. I know when you know how many are not inaugurated, you can't therefore calculate, which means how many branches the IFP have, as well as how many members of the IFP have. But we are doing very well in ensuring that all our structures are intact. The reason why I'm not jumping to say how many branches have been inaugurated, some have been inaugurated, but still to undergo audit. Now I can say 800 inaugurated, then you can add numbers only to find that 800, some of them will not meet the audit process. Because there is a difference. When you establish a branch, there is what is called workers' branches. And the audit process is one that tells you that this one was a real branch or this one was a workers' branch. So we're well underway with our processes, and the National Council gave the NEC to run this process up until the latest end of December 2025 to ensure that branches are audited, branches are inaugurated for a credible conference. That is why we are on this work in order to meet that deadline of 31 December 2025.
So the conference date?
You can only decide on the conference date once you have achieved the auditing and the inauguration of branches that will participate in the conference. For an organization to lead, it is not about having the conference. It is about having credible structures.
Mr. Kumula, do you believe that your state of the questions that answered? Mr. Premier, there was an issue around whistleblowing. If you want to take into this.
No, thank you very much. But I was just start by remembering what you are responding to this. What the person is saying, we would need to have credit standards is important. As farmers, we look at the detail, but being there, you don't have the problem. So we come to a conference when Hamas so we are all in support of the position. Let us deal first with the issue of structures, and then we'll go to the conference. On the issue of Msunduzi, we work in Professor Msunduzi has started working. They've even presented the report in the cabinet. Even the areas of intervention, we are clear now what to do as the federal government. When there are some improvements that were agreed as cabinet, that were beginning to see progress. The fact that they're able to work, because in the first days, it was not only welcome, the working group. But after engagements, then they accepted that they need to receive the support, especially to put important stakeholders together, like including the business people and other civil societies, to engage them. There's a lot of work. It's not like when the working group is there, tomorrow you see everything being attended to. There are a lot of processes that we have to go through. When on the issue of Section 139, those triggers reported by Porter are the ones that, in fact, triggers the cabinet to resolve such. So for now, you know that Msunduzi was under Section 139. Because of the report which was presented to the cabinet, we felt then were to reduce it to support, not the intervention. In fact, as the Russian cabinet or government, the concern, were of the view that the issue of 139, the Section 139 interventions, they seems to be not yielding a result in terms of a direction which we want to take. That is why we use different ways to support municipalities, so that they improve. For an example, the Department of Water, Finance and Public Works have resolved that they ought to work together so that they assist municipalities in their performances, either financial, even in terms of the projects, even in terms of compliance. Only the triggers, in fact, will warrant the cabinet to decide otherwise about any municipality, whether 139 is required or 139 is not required.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, back to you. Thank you very much, colleagues. I would like to believe we have come to the end of the press briefing. If we may, Mr. President, we just one could make condolences on the very tragic accident that happened this morning again, where we have lost lives, and it remains our clarion call and public plea that South Africans exercise maximum caution on the roads. The current situation is progressing significant gains that we are making on road safety, and I would really want to make a plea that we all do the right things behind the steering wheel and generally as road users. And so we are literally every morning now waking up to news which generally are not good, particularly when it is weekends. And so I really want to ask all of us to observe the rules of the road, and Mr. President indicate that the Road Traffic Management Corporation is already dispatching a team for an investigation into that major crash. And this morning, where we have lost lives, people who are traveling from Nongoma to Etigui, and it is a problem because we are trying to do everything possible. But the other half of the equation is the road user themselves. So all of us observe the rules of the road and ensuring that we are safe. So I just want to make a public plea to every road user. Let's do the right thing. I know that the numbers say we have reduced road accidents by 10%. The first 5-6 months with 11% fatalities. But for so long as we are losing lives, it's not point. And that I want to just call on all our media partners. We just, whatever we do, we just teach that message. I want to thank you very much, President, National Chair, GSG, Chairperson of KwaZulu Natal, Chairperson of Gauteng, National Secretary of Women's Brigade, and TG, for being here at this press briefing, and thank our colleagues in the media. Take care, God bless, and have a blessed week. So the Spirit is 140 over my family.